Virginia City is one of the oldest established communities in Nevada. Virginia City was declared a National Historic Landmark in 1961. Virginia City was a mining boomtown. The Comstock Lode mines yielded about $400 million in gold and silver. During its peak, Virginia City had a population of over 30,000 residents and was called the richest city in America. Around 1898, the city's population declined sharply. Virginia City can be considered the birthplace of Mark Twain, as it was here that writer Samuel Clemens, then a reporter on the local Territorial Enterprise newspaper, first used his pen name. If you have time, don't forget to check out some of the local attractions, such as Fourth Ward School Museum, Comstock Fire Museum, the McKay Mansion, Piper's Opera House, St. Mary's Art Center, St. Mary in the Mountain Catholic Church, Story Country Courthouse, the Way It Was Museum, VC Radio Museum, and the Virginia Truckee or VT Railroad. You can check out the visitvirginiacitynv.com for more information. Welcome to the Virginia and Truckee Railroad Ride or the VT Ride. This ride is a 35-minute round-trip train ride through the heart of the historic Comstock mining region. It narrates the history of the railroad and mining that was done around that route. The ride operates from May to October from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. daily. Fares are around $12 for adults and $4.5 for children from 5 to 12 years of age. To check out the schedule and book tickets online, visit virginiatruckee.com or call at 775-847-0380. I hope you enjoy the ride with me.
Boy, that is a beautiful sound. To start our tour, on the left side of the train there, clear across the canyon, on the hillside there, you can't hardly miss it, is the combination shaft. Now, the combination shaft, about 1875, was considered to be the deepest mine shaft in the world, going straight down about 3,265 feet. Now, when you go that deep, you encounter a lot of very hot water. Hot water was a major problem here on the Comstock. And you also encounter some very hot working temperatures. The water was about 170 degrees, and the working temperatures for those poor miners in those days was about 140 degrees. That's why they could only work for about 20 to 30 minutes before they had to be brought back to the surface to cool down and rehydrate. The combination shaft actually tried dropping large amounts of ice down into the shaft in an attempt to cool it off, but they never could get it any less than that 140 degrees. But the Virginia City miners were the highest paid miners in the world at that time, and they were getting about $4 a day for their efforts. But that was only a 10 or 12-hour day. But when you consider you could go into the best hotel in Virginia City and order a top-of-the-line steak dinner with all the trimmings and be presented with a check for about 75 cents. To tunnel number 5 now. Doesn't look much like a tunnel, and that's because about 1940, when they put this overpass in, they daylighted the tunnel, and daylighting is just cutting the top off of it and making it a cut rather than a tunnel, and they did that because of the unstable dirt around Virginia City Gold Hill. Now that rock and concrete foundation you see down there is the remains of the Ward Bullion Mine. Now the Ward Bullion Mine is pretty unique in that it was only in operation for about 4 years. And during that 4 years, they failed to bring up a single ounce of gold or silver, and so that mine was abandoned. But you can see by the amount of the tailing, that shaft probably went down to about 2,500 feet. Now, on the right side of our train here, there's still dirt road, is the original pre-1869 wagon road that went from Virginia City to Carson City, and at one time, that is the only way that you could get from Virginia City to Carson or Carson City to Virginia City. Now you could drive that today, as you can see that little Jimmy pickup there is doing. It actually comes out in Gold Hill. It's very drivable. Now we are now going through tunnel number 4. Tunnel number 4 is about 400 feet long and has been in almost continuous operation since 1869 when it was built. The only modifications that we had to do was we had to enlarge it a little bit, and we also put a steel lining in to protect the train. Now, off to the right side of our train, you'll see the remains of tunnel number 3. Now, in 1938, tunnel number 3 collapsed under its own weight. But back in 1859, 2 miners were on their way to the California gold fields and decided to stop at Gold Hill to pick up some supplies. And while they were here, they decided to do some prospecting. And as luck would have it, they discovered what was later called the Big Bonanza, virtually a solid gold ledge that went from the mouth of this canyon about a mile below us up to just about where we are right now. And it was discovered a couple of years later that that same ledge made a turn, went up into the mountains, and it was mined by 3 different mines at the same time from 3 different directions. Now we're coming across another crossing, so I'm just going to be quiet and listen to the steam whistle. We're now in Gold Hill. At one time, the population of Gold Hill was well over 10,000 people living in this little canyon. And what you see today is probably less than 10% of the buildings that stood back in the 1860s, early 1870s. Now, this red building that we're passing right now is the original Virginia Truckee Railroad Gold Hill train depot. It stands exactly where it did back in 1869. Now that locomotive that you see there was built about 1906. It's a Baldwin, probably was a coal burner that has since been converted to oil. It's now owned by the Feather River Short Line in California. Now we're going to be stopping right in here.